What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Hope you guys are all having a great Wednesday so far. It's also Wednesday for me. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon, so I'm going to upload this immediately after I film this right here. But today's video is going to be based on I believe it was a Instagram message from someone on, they're just wondering how much I made the first month as a real estate agent. I'm not only going to break down that, but I'm also going to break down some things as a real estate agent of what I've noticed over the last year. I've actually been licensed for just over a year now, so I'm still a relatively new agent in the broad scheme of things here, but I do have some takeaways for you guys, so it's not just me talking about how much I made the first month, but hopefully you guys will be able to take some good key points away from this video. Even if you guys aren't trying to be a real estate agent, hopefully this video will be useful to you guys. So with that being said, we are going to jump right into it here. I have basically everything broken down for you guys in terms of my first couple of deals, when I actually enrolled in school, because you have to do a pre-license course before you can actually take your state and national exam. So you can't just go straight into taking an exam to get your real estate license. They make you take a pre-education course, which, yes, it does cost money. So actually, maybe I'll talk a little bit about how much it actually costs to have your license as well in today's video for those of you guys that want to know that. I talk about my first ever deal. I talk about my second deal. The only reason why I'm talking about my second deal is because I just kind of want to give you guys like a timeline and a perspective on things as you're just starting out, and then some of the key takeaways as well, which I want to make sure I cover to not only make this video enjoyable but educational as well. First of all, a little backstory, because my story is going to be a lot different than most other people. I really only got my real estate license because my business partner wanted to put an offer in on a property, and I did not have my real estate license at the time. So I actually specifically got my real estate license to help my friend out, and it actually worked out perfectly. I'll explain that a little bit later. So I didn't really have a big desire at the specific moment of when I was taking this test last year. Keep in mind, if you guys look at this date, May 1st, this was pretty much in the middle of the pandemic. So I was still kind of back and forth between Los Angeles, spending half my time there completely closed down, and then I was spending half my time in Arizona checking on my rental properties. It was a little bit more open in Arizona, so people still were doing house tours and stuff like that. But in LA, I was like not doing anything at all. So that's my backstory right there. I did enroll in an online only class. I really wanted to make sure I enrolled in a class that was online only. I had no desire to actually go in and sit in a class for a couple hours, a couple times a week, and actually do it that way. So it's a total personal preference. If you guys do it online, for me at least, it definitely, you're not going to get the education, I feel like, as opposed to if you go somewhere in person and talking to an actual physical teacher where you can raise your hand, ask questions, and kind of have like a real life breakdown of every single topic and every single chapter that you guys go through. For me, I had this little slideshow that was horrible. I didn't have I could email the teacher, but it wasn't like immediate responses. So I was kind of doing this all on my own, which I was totally fine with and well aware of. I found the cheapest course. It was like $400. I spent like a day just researching the cheapest pre-education course that I could take. A lot of them are in the $600-700. But I took the cheapest one possible, and by far I can tell why it was cheap. Some of the slideshows were glitching out. It just was not a good experience. But my main reason to get this course was just to find the cheapest one possible, and then I realized that I would have to educate myself later on. So throughout the entire process of getting my license, it was a lot of self-teaching it was a lot of being self-taught through YouTube videos, mainly YouTube videos, a little bit of reading on my own as well, and then just taking some online quizzes. So you guys may have to do that as well, depending on how in-depth your actual pre-education course is. If you guys do need like more one-on-one time, I do suggest spending the extra money going into an in-person, depending on the state, because a lot of states still I don't think are doing in-person courses right now. But if you do have the opportunity and you're willing to spend that money, I think you'll learn a little bit more doing that. So overall, I had a little gap between when I actually bought the course to when I actually started the course. So overall, I believe it was probably about a 5-week process from when I very first started to when I actually got my real estate license. I got licensed July 20th, 2020, which was just over a year ago now. So I'm like 1 year and 2 weeks into being a real estate agent, which I thought I had my license for a lot longer until I started doing research for this video. But yeah, about last year I got my real estate license strictly to help my friend purchase a property, and that's exactly what happened. So if you guys want to compare these dates right here, I got my license July 20th, and we put in an offer I think the 24th. So within 3 days after getting my license, we went and toured a property. It was a commercial building for my business partner for his business. So it was not only non-residential, but I only had my license for 3 days. So it was a lot more than what I kind of expected, but it was a fairly smooth process, and I'm very grateful that my business partner was my first ever client because he's extremely laid back. It was a cash offer, which was extremely straightforward. We didn't have to deal with any lenders or anything like that, which made it a lot easier for me. And then I also had my mentor, which I highly suggest if you guys can get a mentor or someone that will be able to kind of guide you through the first couple of deals. It will really help you out. So yeah, within the first week of getting my license, we had an over $1 million transaction offer accepted. And then the deal closed within about 3 weeks after that, which was a very fast-paced deal for being over $1 million transaction. It was all cash, which allowed us to move as fast as we wanted to. We didn't have to wait for any lending, financing contingencies, or anything like that. We had a quick inspection on the property, but it was pretty straightforward. It was in good condition. It was completely vacant during the time of peak pandemic. So we got a very, very good price on this property. I believe right now we could probably sell this property for 1.45 or even $1.5 million, depending on if we had it fully occupied. But this, the previous buyer, the previous owner just wanted to sell it. It was on the market for months and months. It was completely vacant. So he was eating up a big amount of money every single month because he wasn't getting rents in. So we got a great deal on that. And then my commission on this property, guys, was $30,210. So to answer your guys' question, the first month as a real estate agent, my take home was about $24,000, which is really, really good for only being an agent for 1 month. But keep in mind, I already had this transaction planned, so it was definitely a lot different than someone else just going into it blindly. I was very fortunate to have this transaction. But I'm going to break down the commission split and everything a little bit later here. So after that deal, it kind of gets a little bit more realistic where it's okay, well, I haven't had a deal in a month or two. Things are a little bit slow, and that's completely normal as a first-time real estate agent. A lot of things come into play. It really depends on what type of team you're on. If you're on a team that's going to feed you leads and give you a ton of leads every single day that you can call up, it's going to be a little bit different, but they may take a higher commission split from you. They may do a 50-50 commission if they're helping you out. It all really depends on how much your broker or your team that you're on is going to help you and feed you those leads, because at the end of the day, it's all a marketing lead generation game. The more leads that you have in your pipeline, the more transactions you're going to close on. And if you have a team or a broker that's just going to hand you these hot leads and you just have to simply kind of show them houses or list their property, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of gain traction in the real estate realm, as opposed to going on individually, not having any leads whatsoever, or doing your own lead generation, your own marketing. That's a lot harder, and it takes a lot more time to get started. But then at the same time, it can be a lot more lucrative because you don't have to split those commissions as much as you would if someone was feeding you those leads. So for me, I would say my team right now is kind of in between. We do get some leads from our team leader. I love the team that I'm on. It's just my personal preference, the way that I like to work. I don't get a lot of leads from my team. I generate a lot of leads on my own. I believe I've only closed one transaction in my entire year as a real estate agent from my team sending me leads. The others are all from me generating my own leads from social media, from YouTube, obviously, which you guys are watching, from Instagram, and there's from word of mouth as well from other clients. So now moving on to my second deal. This was actually our flip. So the reason why this commission is so low is because I only take 1%. This commission up here was a 3% commission, which is actually really good. So we closed this house at $275,000 about 3 months into me having my real estate license, which is pretty realistic. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get your first deal, but I'm just about 3 months into being an agent, and this take home was $2,200. The reason why the commission and take home is a little bit different is because your broker is most likely always going to take a percentage or a flat rate based on what kind of negotiation you had with them or what kind of contract you signed with them. So my specific broker takes 20% of all my commission no matter what. If they bring me their lead, then they take 30%. If I bring my own lead to them, which I did on both of these cases because I represented myself on this deal, and then I represented my friend or my client, my own client on this one, where they had nothing involved with giving me a lead or anything. I took 80%, they took 20%. But if they were to give me like a good lead, or if they were to give me a lead from however they market, and I were to close that deal, then I would give them 30%, which is just a 10% jump for them basically giving me that lead. So overall, my first couple months as a real estate agent, I was just about $26,000 in commission. That is before taxes, so keep in mind that's going to get slashed quite a bit. Overall, I believe the first year as an agent, I wasn't extremely active. I had pretty much like a closing every single month, which I could have done a lot better, and I'm actually trying to work towards now to kind of build my client base. I believe I'm probably like just under $100,000 commission in total for the year of me being licensed. So this is probably the most important thing as a new real estate agent, and you want to spend most of your time trying to figure this out because this can really change your entire career path depending on what type of team you're on. You can go the individual route, which means you basically are not going to get any help whatsoever from unless you have a mentor. You're not going to get any team help. You're not going to get really any brokerage help. You can, depending on the brokerage, some will just be completely hands off and not help you whatsoever, but that obviously reflects how much you're getting paid. Some brokerages will just take a flat fee of like $300 per transaction, but they're not going to help you with anything whatsoever. And then there's going to be other teams or brokerages that'll take like literally 50% of your commission, but they're going to bottle feed you leads, and you're just going to be like pretty much like a 9-to-5 job, just calling people up and kind of essentially working for that team or the brokerage. So depending on your style of work, like if you're just trying to be a real estate agent like part-time on the weekends, or maybe you're just trying to get your license to help out a friend or two every like couple months or whatever, or help out your family, then that's going to dictate what type of brokerage you want to go under. Because if you're trying to do that like a little weekend job, you're not going to want to go on a team that's going to be sending you 10-15 leads a day that you have to call up and go list houses, or go show houses, or go list their house, or go do walkthroughs and all that kind of stuff, because that's just not your style or your goal at the end of the day. But at the same time, if you're trying to take this on full time, like 40-60 hours a week, you may want to start off with a team that's going to give you all those leads, and it's going to mentor you, and that's going to like really take you under their wing and really help you out and kind of accelerate the entire process of being a real estate agent. That could be a really good route for you. So finding the team and interviewing multiple brokerages is really, really important. I specifically went on the team from my mentor. He's been a mentor since 2019. He was actually the agent that helped me purchase my rentals. I went under his team because he's a great mentor. He's a great teacher. He helps me out tremendously, and it was perfect for my kind of style, where I didn't want to be like stuck working a 9-to-5 5 days a week. I wanted a little bit more flexibility. I wanted to be able to work when I want and kind of do my own thing. So that really worked with me, as opposed to going to like somewhere like Keller Williams or Remax, some of these bigger brokerages where you could be working like a more standard job where you're required to go in at a certain time and required to make a certain amount of phone calls. It all really depends on what you want to do. Set realistic goals for yourself. So being like, you don't want to overwhelm yourself by trying to do like 2 transactions a month your first year. It's very possible. Like I said, it all depends on how fast you get started. But set realistic goals, like set a goal, maybe closing 1 every other month. Sometimes it takes 6 months to close your first deal, but then after that, you can kind of get this, it's like a snowball effect. You can really get going after that. So set realistic goals for yourself and don't get overwhelmed. Find your niche as an agent. Like find your sweet spot, whether it be specific neighborhood or a specific zip code. Finding like what works best for you. Maybe focusing on one specific part of your city and only focusing on listings, or only focusing on being a buyer's agent. You just got to find, or maybe for me, I really only focus on working with investors that are looking for some sort of investment property. A lot of my investors, I found like my niche is a lot of out-of-state investors, or people that are trying to move here eventually, and they're trying to get a property before they move here. So that's like my niche. and I found that that works best. It's also the way that I market myself through my social media. I market myself as an investor and an investor friendly agent, so that's what a lot of my client base is. So you have to find your niche. Patience is everything. You're not going to close 10 deals your first month. You have to be very, very patient, and that leads me into my last one, which is don't compare yourself to anyone else. I've kind of had a difficult time with that as well. I mean, I feel like everyone always wants to compare themselves with someone else, whether it be someone that just got started as well or someone that has been doing it for years and years. It's really hard to kind of separate yourself from that. Really, you want to focus on yourself and just try to better yourself each and every day, each and every month. A realistic goal, I've found, would not be setting like a monthly goal, but more so like a yearly goal, because you can have a really slow month and miss your quota by 2 or 3 deals, and then you can have 2 months later, you can have an extremely fast month where you just outperform yourself. So I would say on average, like a good little goal for yourself, if you are to set goals, is just to do like a 1-year goal. Be like, I want to sell 12 houses in 12 months rather than I want to sell 1 house a month, because it can kind of set you off track and actually make things worse if you set like goals like that. That's just what I found. Anything else that I want to talk about here? Kind of like the spectrum of commissions. I've seen 50-50 splits. I haven't seen or heard of anything where your broker is going to take over 50% of the commission, but I'm sure it's actually a very popular thing. And then I've also, the lowest commissions I've seen is $300 flat rate for every transaction, no matter how much that transaction is, which can be extremely helpful if you're very self-efficient, because if you're closing on a, like for example, this one, a $1 million deal, I lost out on $6,000 because that's 20% of my commission rather than me paying them $300. So that would have been a $5,700 difference depending on the broker. That's it for today's video, guys. My camera keeps overheating. This is the 3rd time this video, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, you guys can email me down below. And as always, if you guys are looking for an investment property in the Phoenix area, email me. Or if you guys are already living here and you're looking to sell your property, it's a great time to sell your property, especially if you're trying to sell it within the next 6 months. I do see a little slowdown and kind of not a correction, but kind of like a flat line so far in the last couple months in the real estate market. So if you guys are on the edge about selling, it may be a good time. Email me down below. I'd love to help you guys list your house and get you top dollar for it. Be sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram as well. Everything will be in the description down below.